Hey guys, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Kick Out at 2 podcast. I am Christopher the Wilkman Wilkins, as per usual, with Righteous Jesse Butler.
How's it going, guys? I can't hear the word "use" without thinking of Righteous Jams.
Yeah, that's why I keep doing it. That was a rough second album.
Yeah, was it Lizards or
something like? Was that what it was called?
No, that was.
They had a song. Yeah, it reminded me of a dude.
It was called Biz as Usual.
I think it was Biz as Usual, and that lizard song I actually liked because I knew a dude who kind of looked like a lizard, and I had a friend who got drunk one time and was complaining about that guy, and he's like, I just want to tell him you look like a lizard. So that's what that went to. But we're already rambling. Last week's episode was a lot of fun. Nick Iggy.
Not for the easily offended.
Yeah, well, Nick E. will definitely be on the podcast again, hopefully with his partner Carrie Awful at the same time, and we'll do two-parters, and it'll just be a shit fest.
I feel like that's going to be one where we're just going to have to record a lot of them. I feel like that's going to go for hours.
Yeah, that'll be at least a two-parter, and we won't
Nick's a fucking madman.
He is.
Don't let that slick back hair fool you.
He's
in that blazer.
An ADHD trap god is what he is. But yeah, it was a fun one. We got to talk to Plunkett again, which we love that guy.
Yeah.
He's about the tried and true wrestling in Clarksville, Tennessee on the 19th, which we were excited about.
Can't wait to make it up there.
Go see Star Wars on the 18th. Go see wrestling on the 19th, and then sit your ass at home on the 20th till the 25th because it's Christmas, and you should be with your fucking family.
Speaking of Christmas, I had the opportunity to go see my favorite movie, Home Alone, in a theater, and it was absolutely amazing. Anybody that knows me or Chris knows that we are giant toy collectors and toy nerds, and I actually acquired one of the two toys that I've wanted since I was a kid that I have never had until now.
Did you get a Talkback?
I would love a Talk Boy,
or Talk Boy,
and I'm gonna get a Talk Boy tattoo.
Nice,
but growing up, my cousins had the Macaulay Culkin pull string doll, and I was always super jealous. I had that and the Steve Urkel one, which was whatever.
Yeah.
But after the movie, Chad from Newfound Glory was doing a raffle with all these, I guess, items, and it was like a sweater that you could buy from Etsy, some Home Alone action figures from NECA, coffee cups, the original soundtrack on CD, and then the pull string doll. Well, my roommate John. My roommate John and his girlfriend all went, and before the show we got raffle tickets. She gave me $1 to get a ticket, and I think she gave John $3 to get raffle tickets because neither one of us had cash. John ended up getting picked third, technically, for the raffle. So the first lady went up, and she got the sweater that you could easily buy off Etsy.
Yeah.
The second person wasn't there, so then they called John's number, and Chad knew no sooner he saw John what he was getting. So we get home, and I help John carry an entertainment center upstairs, and he's like, oh, hey, thanks for your help. I turn around, and on my TV stand, there's the pull string doll, so he gifted it to me.
Awesome.
So now I'm on the lookout for the Macho King wrestling buddy.
And then you'll have...
If you have that and you want to sell it to me for not $200, do that.
That, and if anybody has the original Turtle Blimp in still, not torn up balloon condition, that's the one toy that's eluded me. I had literally every other Ninja Turtle toy, and that's not an exaggeration. I was spoiled rotten. My grandparents lived with us, so...
Turtle toys were awesome anyway.
Yeah, and they were cheap back then.
Yeah.
And I was...
So were wrestling toys way back when.
See, I didn't know. I actually have Hulk Hogan and Macho Man thumb wrestlers somewhere.
Those are probably worth a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
Or you could just shit on the Hogan one.
Yeah. Which brings us to the contest. Remember, hashtag Hogan Fears KOAT and follow the @KOAT podcast. Send it in.
Upload those pictures or videos.
Then the first podcast of January will announce our winner.
You get a free shirt from What a Maneuver of your choice.
Yeah, you get to pick which one. We'll even let you pick the color. It doesn't have to be black.
It doesn't. You could get a red shirt.
Yeah.
If it's on that colorway.
You can get a yellow shirt if they have that. I'm just saying that. If they don't have a yellow shirt, don't be disappointed and don't get mad at me or at What a Maneuver because it's not their fault. It's not anyone's fault. Sometimes things just happen.
My personal pick would be probably the H2O Go to Sleep rip.
I love that, and I love that Morton Salt Moonsault.
Yeah.
I really love that.
That's a good one.
Because that looks like the Jawbreaker.
Yeah, it does.
And
I
I've
didn't
got
even think about that.
I got a Jawbreaker tattoo, so... let's see. In the world of wrestling, since we recorded the podcast on Tuesday, but it ran so long, we didn't cover like any of what was going on.
Content.
So let's first start. Brad Maddox, aka Mad Braddix, got let go for calling people pricks.
Yeah,
which
good for him.
Yeah, I didn't know that was like a thing. That is that really like a fireable offense? Like,
pricks is one of those questionable words.
It's a questionable word, but it's not like you call anybody like anything like they use the phrase wanker in Europe, and it's like that's a rough word.
Yeah.
There, that's not just like a.
To me, it's almost like they weren't doing much with him, so it's like, oh, you said that, you're gone. Like it's just an out.
I feel like that was just a reason to get rid of him because like they got a bunch of 40-something-year-old dudes pointing at their crotch whenever they do the DX reunions, which they can't do because Billy Gunn got let go, which is also confusing because didn't they have a 3-strike policy? Did he strike out twice already, or was it because he didn't tell them that he was using it and they found out about, his prior thing? Who knows? It's all speculation.
Now he's on the indies probably making a killing, and I know he's doing seminars, which is great for, talent that's out there. And now they don't have to worry about making it to the Performance Center to train with Billy Gunn. So.
Smashing middle-aged broads, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Man. Who knows? He is the ass man.
So, Mad Braddix on the indie scene.
That's going to be good for him. He'll get to do stuff. It's surprising how good it was for that CJ Parker guy leaving NXT, and now he's working New Japan.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. Good for him. So, I mean, we could see the same with Mad Braddix. It's messing me up trying to say it because it changed.
It's like a spoonerism.
I keep wanting to say Mad Braddix instead of Brad Maddox. That was a tongue fool.
WWE alumni now, Sami Callihan. Solomon Crow, back on the indies.
Who we found out was trained by Shark Boy, who we are trying to get on the show.
If you're listening, Shark Boy.
Please, contact us. He won the 2CW title, Sami Callihan did. Still sad that he's not on NXT, but they weren't using him right, and I was getting very frustrated, and I saw it coming for a while.
And now you're really going to get to watch him wrestle.
Yeah, he'll be somewhere that I'll get to see him. AJ Styles messed up his lower back. I guess he's doing better. I'm surprised it was, it took this long to mess up his back.
Especially with all the stuff he used to do. Like, I wonder if he's been sitting on this for a while and just never said anything, because he hasn't wrestled like he's had an injury.
No, not at all. He's pretty much always...
He's always been pedal to the metal, just,
Yeah.
He wrestles hard and fast, but it's not like obnoxiously hard and fast. It's fitting every time.
Yeah. That guy, I've commented before on how he's kind of a freak of nature. I'm like, you're too old. How are you doing that? You're almost 40. Like, he's what, 36, 35?
He's like mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not young in the wrestling world to be especially wrestling the style of wrestling he does.
Back in the day, you'd have guys like, Gypsy Joe was wrestling, I believe, well into his 60s and 70s. And
didn't they have like a birthday party for him at
SWF?
Wrestling? SWF did. Was it on Friday? They did it for him. That's cool.
I think it was like a surprise party for him because
that's really fun.
If you grew up watching wrestling in Middle Tennessee, and you don't remember Gypsy Joe, like if you grew up watching like NWA Main Event or USA Championship Wrestling, you probably always heard the name Gypsy Joe. He's a scrapper. He's like the hardcore icon, for lack of better terms, here, in the South, probably. I advise like going back, and I'm sure some of his stuff's on YouTube, or like it's not impossible to find. And I know the match he did with New Jack in, I believe, Columbia, Tennessee, is on YouTube, and it's hard to watch.
Yeah, that's one of those famous New Jack
tried
debacles.
To kill Gypsy
trying to
Joe.
kill somebody. Yeah, he's tried to kill a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not on that list.
Only in wrestling is that possible.
Yeah,
to like keep going.
And now he's back in wrestling. So
yep. Let's see. Raw on Monday, pretty decent episode. Wasn't perfect, wasn't terrible. got a new heel faction with the League of Nations, I believe it's called. Del Rio, Rusev, Sheamus, and Barrett.
I like it. I like it on paper. It's full of big dudes. Like, Rusev is a fucking brick shithouse.
I love Rusev.
I do too.
I love how he wrestles, especially when he gets to wrestle for more than a couple minutes.
Yeah.
He pulls out some stuff that I'm always very impressed with.
I'm a big Barrett fan too.
Yeah. Really, that whole group except Sheamus. I remember one time there was a sign when Sheamus was actually getting over, and it said, "You can't blame us for liking Sheamus. You can't blame us for not giving a fuck at this point." It's like, I don't know how Sheamus is outside of the ring, but like, he's a grown man, and I just want to scream that he's a poser at him, because one, that's the funniest word in the English language to me, because it just, if you call someone a poser, they get so upset.
To me, he looks like if he dyed his beard blue, he'd fit in a Mudvayne right now.
Yeah, dude. He's probably going to take over playing guitar in Stained. I don't even know if they're still around or if they need another. Dude, that dude is Mud Shovel. If anyone gets that reference, you can high five yourself. Let's see. So that's that. We'll see. I like Roman Reigns. I'm saying it here on the podcast.
I'm a fan. I back him.
Yeah. They need to do better with him. I do like that he's kind of hanging out with the Usos and Dean Ambrose now. But it's good to have baby faces, friends with baby faces. Faction stuff is a little played out, except for heel factions like that.
I don't like the name I get the name that they're going with, the family, but I don't like it.
See, I didn't know if that was legit or if that's just kind of like a what are they doing?
That's what I've read. I mean,
I didn't know if that was. I don't remember them saying it, and so I thought it might just be people like lumping it in. But it's kind of.
I don't feel like it needs a name.
No,
not every faction needs a name.
No, because I don't think they should be an actual faction. I think I'd rather them call them the Buddies, and they like do freeze frame high fives at the end of Raw, because I wouldn't put it past that at this point with the way wrestling. Okay, I want to say something. I got backed up on NXT.
Yeah.
And so I sat down and watched 4 in a row. I don't understand how the same company, and yes, it's only an hour of television, but I don't understand how the same company can easily put together that much story progression where they leave off certain wrestlers from week to week and still make you remember that they've got a storyline the next week, when they literally have enough time in the 3 hours to cover what NXT does in, a month block
right
on Raw. Yeah, that could be rough from week to week, but they could at least have one really good week of wrestling, one really good Monday Night Raw.
I think what it really boils down to is like, the wrestlers in NXT are really hungry. So they're doing everything they can to make sure they're not forgotten, because they, like you said, they might not be on TV the next week.
It's kind of like college football, where they play their asses off and like kill themselves, and then they get to the NFL and they drag ass because they're making the money and they don't want to die and keep making the money. And I understand that, but it's not the wrestler's fault. It's the writing's fault. Like, some of the people are phoning in Dolph Ziggler, but it's not all of their fault when there's nothing to work with. Like, what the hell happened to backstage segments that weren't just in the Authority's office? Or, like, remember you used to have The Rock cutting promos on Lillian Garcia and Kevin Kelly and
Poor
stuff
Kevin
like
Kelly.
that? Poor guy. And then, like, you don't see that. They have stuff like that in NXT. They have backstage segments. When they brought in Carmella, they had a whole thing where she was a hairdresser, and she dumped that stuff on that dog. And it's like, you don't... Like, it's goofy, but it's also wrestling, and all we ever got was, like, some sort of Food Santino segment. Thank God he's not around. I haven't slept, so I'm very aggressive today. But, I don't know. It's just like, there's nothing on Raw that's any sort of entertainment. It's called World Wrestling Entertainment. There are some matches. You keep calling them superstars and entertainers. they wrestle. There's some really good wrestling matches with nothing behind them, and then there's a bunch of like squashes, except that you're not squashing.
They're not enhancement talents.
Enhancement
you're
talents.
Hurting people.
It's 50-50 booking on, Rusev's going to squash one guy, and then the next week Rusev gets rolled up in 2 seconds.
I really think enhancement talent needs to come back.
Yeah, they need to.
I mean, think of what it did for wrestlers. Like, that's where the Hardys came from.
Hashtag bring back Gilbert.
The Job Squad.
The Job Squad. Pin me, pay me. I mean, there's so many people that if you pay them some money, they'll show up. Tommy Dreamer's back, which was one of the highlights of Raw. Tommy Dreamer's back in WWE.
They're teasing a fourth member for that.
I hope they. Either it's going to be Rhino or they'll bring back RVD. But if it was up to me, it'd be Raven.
I've seen pictures. Like I read a thing. I don't remember what website it was on, but it was a picture of Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, RVD, and somebody else. And Tommy Dreamer's already there. Mm-hmm. I don't remember who the other one was.
Sandman won't be there.
I thought about how crazy that would be, and yeah, that's not happening.
That's not happening.
And that's why I think RVD is just...
RVD, well, I mean, RVD's still in good standing with the company anyways.
I think it'd be cool if it was RVD, or I've heard a lot of people say they're surprised this didn't happen, but Spike Dudley would be awesome to see.
I was really expecting him to show up when they were talking about family, but I think he's like retired.
I think he is too. I'm sure he'd come out for that payday, though.
Hell, I wish Molly Holly would come get a payday and help these women get over. Really, anybody, because Charlotte sucks. That's my aggressiveness coming out. I don't even know if they'll bring in another ECW guy, but just speculation-wise.
It'd be cool.
It's
always a nice surprise. Like, those... I'm kind of... I guess I'm not really weird about part-timers, but, like I'm not the biggest Jericho fan anymore. When he comes in, it kind of just hurts me. But I feel like when they give you those random surprises, it's always just like a shot in the arm. It's like, okay, they can do something good.
Yeah. Even if it's just Rhino coming up from NXT, I would love to see Rhino. I would love to see Rhino wrestle Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt, because him and Bray Wyatt would just knock the shit out of each other.
All right. We're on the topic of Bray Wyatt. I'm going to hit you guys with some fantasy booking. Pretty much for the past, year? Probably longer. The Wyatt family's just been eating shit sandwiches with a smile. Mm-hmm. I think that the Wyatt family, if not Bray Wyatt specifically, is due for something great, because I feel like they've been taking everything that's been thrown at them and they make it work. Loss after loss. The one real faction that shouldn't be losing time after time, and they are. I've been reading the plans for WrestleMania, where it's supposed to be John Cena and The Undertaker. I really think they could keep dragging out the Wyatts and The Undertaker, and I really think at this point, and I feel like this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, I really feel like Bray Wyatt, with everything he's done or really had to do, should be the one to retire The Undertaker. I feel like it should kind of be reverse logic, where the heel gets the big win at the end. And I mean,
because it's a dark character, and I mean, Undertaker came in and beat Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, Undertaker was not the hero in that. Like, they talk about his legacy, but I mean, at the time, Undertaker wasn't the guy people were rooting for.
Yeah. And really, I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, Bray Wyatt isn't really that big of a heel, because I mean, when he walks out, you see everybody with their phones, and
but
he's over.
Bray Wyatt putting the nail in the Undertaker coffin that's heel, and
that's something they could always go back to if, like, say, for some reason Bray Wyatt is a babyface for a while and they need him to turn heel. It's something he could always go back and play up on and just be like, I'm the one that took the Undertaker away from you. Which could also turn into, once the Undertaker's gone, it could also just turn into, Kane out for revenge.
I don't know how much longer Kane's going to be at it. It seems like he's kind of winding down too, and it's kind of making me nervous, because I want him to have his moment too. I don't want him to get overshadowed by the Undertaker, by them doing it at the same time.
Right.
So,
double retirement match.
if they wrestled each other in a double retirement match, that would be fun, even though we've seen Undertaker and Kane over and over, and they don't have the greatest chemistry nowadays.
Here's something not completely outside of the realm of logic. You've had the Wyatt family lose to the Undertaker and Kane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what if WrestleMania rolls around, rematch, tag team match, winner take all?
Yeah.
This is just fantasy booking, too. This is just shit that I think about when I'm at work, or just, just things that I would like to see happen.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, we should also mention that we are interviewing the Washington Bullets today. I don't think that we
haven't
about that.
Touched that yet. But that interview blossoms.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was we had some audio issues with the phone starting out, and so it's kind of awkward at the beginning because I think we were all feeling each other out while trying to figure out the phone thing. But very fun interview.
I think there's a real turning point in that conversation, and it just puts everybody at ease. I think when you hear the term wrestling nerd, you just feel really welcomed into the conversation, and I think that's where we all just kind of started meshing together. And
and this is a lot of fun, and you guys should definitely check them out.
I missed an opportunity to bring up N64 Live, which I'm kicking myself for now.
It's okay.
Nobody would play it except me and
dude. If N64 Live was a thing that someone somehow figured out how to make, and I got to play No Mercy against people, I would not play any other video game I own.
You wouldn't have to.
And I own them all. So let's see. But yeah, it's a fun interview, so stick around for that.
Please do not sleep on those guys. You can check them out on Twitter at @bullets_bullets, on Vine at _bullets_bullets. Instagram at *bullets_bullets. They have Facebook
and YouTube. They said it was Washington Bullets 123.
Yeah,
that's where you need to go to look them up because they're a fantastic tag team.
Watch the match with them and the Hooligans from AML, America's Most Like Wrestling. Please watch that match. It is phenomenal. You'll see some stuff I guarantee you haven't seen. And yes, we're marking out.
Yeah, we are. We had a lot of fun talking to them, and we had a lot of fun watching them.
I've seen them wrestle twice in person, and then I just kind of scoured YouTube to watch things. And the Hooligans are a great tag team, and I really want them on here, as well as the Viking War Party, which you'll hear in the interview. But the Washington Bullets are just a team that they're entertaining, they can wrestle, and they're athletic. They're just... If you haven't watched them, watch them.
I just have a feeling that something big's going to happen for them soon.
They're great guys, and they do something that I feel like a lot of tag teams or really wrestlers in general kind of lack. And there's another guy around here that's really good at it too, Sean Hoodrich, and that's just playing to the crowd. They don't hesitate to really get in your face and like just say some things, and it just makes it more engaging when you're there.
And speaking of, I'm going to bring this around to a couple more things that we have to talk about before we get into the interview. Speaking of being in your face, James Storm had his second NXT televised match against Adam Rose. And that's the thing about James Storm. He talks shit during the matches still.
Yeah.
He'll say, like watch out or it's over. Like just little stuff that wrestlers don't really do anymore. And
it gives the whole match a different feel.
Yeah, and James Storm is smart in his wrestling. I've heard him talk about it before, and when I think about his matches, I've never seen him do it. He doesn't pick a wrestler up off the ground to do another move to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that I feel like that's a thing that gets kind of overused, because like if you're trying to beat someone and pin them, why would you pick them back up?
Right.
To drop them back on their head? I don't know.
That, and I feel like this doesn't get done a lot either. And after... James Storm and Adam Rose had their match, I saw a Twitter exchange where they were going back and forth, and James Storm said something along the lines of like everybody uses a super kick, but nobody really like uses it to knock somebody down, or something along those lines.
Knock them down, not out, or something like that.
That's what it was. And I mean, he's got a good super kick. Super kicks are, I don't want to say overused, because I enjoy watching a super kick or a super kick party. It's entertaining. Yeah, but it
is a little overused
in the right setting, like. As a desperation move at the end of a match, I think it's perfect, and I think James Storm really captures that.
Yeah.
We're big on throwing things out into the universe. James Storm is not out of the realm of possibilities for guests on this show.
Yeah.
So James Storm, if by some weird, crazy chance you hear this, we'd love to speak to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not even about wrestling, just about Nashville life or something.
if you don't want to come on the podcast and just want to talk to us, and then we can tell him afterwards what we talked about a little bit.
And if he decides to contact us or we contact him and he says no, then sorry about our damn luck.
Yeah, sorry about our damn luck. Same NXT episode, Tommaso Ciampa versus Samoa Joe.
I knew going into that it was just going to be stiff and brutal.
Yeah. I think it was only like 7 minutes.
That's all it needed.
And it was just rough. And speaking of stiff, Emma whooped that girl's ass in that match.
Emma is amazing.
I don't know if she got like legit mad, but it seemed like I don't remember the girl's name. I'm going to call her Jersey Girl because she wore a jersey and it was about being from
Blue
New
Pants
Jersey.
Came back too.
Yeah, she did.
I love
she
Leva
got
Bates.
Beat by Nia Jax, which I'm glad there's a bigger woman.
Yeah.
Which the Rock dropped how much she weighed on his Instagram. He said she weighed 272, I believe. I don't know if she was like cool with that.
Yeah.
I was a little weird, but like she's pretty agile for a woman that big, and she's gonna make
Dominate.
some waves, in the WWE.
I feel like Nia Jax is kind of like they had. I'm not even going to call her by her WWE name. They had Awesome Kong.
Yeah. For 2 episodes or something like that.
I feel like that they're just like, hey, this could have worked. Let's try that with you.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's working. So.
Yeah.
But she destroyed poor Leva Bates Blue Pants, and I watched part of that match on the internet, and poor Leva Bates.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see she's back on NXT though, because I remember reading something for a while where she wasn't
like she
on
had
there.
heat and stuff like that. So yeah, I guess that's all we really needed to cover wrestling wise. We talked about him. Kevin Owens was sick. That's why he wasn't on Raw. I was actually nervous, wondering why he wasn't on Raw. That got answered. He was just sick.
TLC's coming up.
TLC, the 13th.
Yep.
We will do a recap show as usual.
We have the contest. We touched on it. Follow at KOET podcast. Upload your picture or video, then hashtag Hogan Fears KOAT, and you could win a shirt from What a Maneuver of your choice, and paid for by us.
And as always, we plug What a Maneuver on here.
What a Maneuver, Iron S.
Yeah, IronSUSA.storeenvy.com.
Yep.
And I don't think we have anything else to plug.
Tried and True on the 19th.
Oh, Tried and True on the 19th.
Don't,
we talked about that.
Don't miss out on that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. We'll be there hanging out, watching wrestling. I don't guess there's anything else. We'll just go ahead and get into the interview, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
Bullets are good dudes.
If you have been listening on SoundCloud or iTunes and don't want to listen on SoundCloud or iTunes, we are on YouTube now. YouTube, you can just look up Kick Out at 2 podcast, and we should...
Don't forget to subscribe.
Pop up. Yeah, and subscribe if you listen.
Because you'll get a notification
when the new episodes come up, and we will have the backlog of episodes as well. Yeah. And it's just, it helps us see who's paying attention and how many people are listening.
And I'm gonna throw a little teaser out there. We're working on some pretty big stuff.
Yeah.
We had a nice little business conversation last night, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And some pretty cool things. Hopefully, by the start of the new year will be in place for us. And
we're hoping to have a lot more guests lined up. We've got a lot of
potentials
stuff coming through, throwing out some feelers here and there, but
feel free to pass along to a friend, word of mouth. We've been trying to engage more on Twitter and conversations, like who's your favorite wrestler, or like what was your favorite, time where a wrestler acted. Feel free to engage on that stuff. We want to hear what you think. And
if you're a wrestler and you don't feel like maybe you'd be big enough to be on the podcast or something like that, if you want to talk to us, let us know. We can probably schedule in sometime, because it's fun to talk to people at different stages of the business.
Yeah.
And we would be glad to talk to you on here.
Hell, even just
referees, managers, anything.
Yeah.
Like,
no one's out of the realm.
No, we're a very friendly couple of dudes in terms of talking about wrestling, and we will gladly speak with you if you want to talk about your journey in the crazy world of professional wrestling so far, or if you're a grizzled vet, or if you think you're better than you are and we can put you in your place. We'll do that. We don't care, because we'll get heat, brother. I ain't slept. Fuck them.
So, check out the Twitter at KOAT Podcast. We're on YouTube. You can search Kick Out at 2 on YouTube. We'll pop up.
Yeah.
Of course, SoundCloud and iTunes. Subscribe. It's very important that you do that. If you subscribe on iTunes, then you'll get a notification when the new episode drops. It'll go straight to your whatever you're listening to on. Hopefully, we'll be on more platforms soon. We're working on it all. So, catch us at Tried and True on the 19th in Clarksville. If you'll be there, we'll probably have flyers and who knows what else.
Yeah.
Maybe some Zubaz or something.
Man, I wish. I do have some Christmas pants that I can probably get away with wearing.
You should.
So they don't have pockets, though. But
you got a fanny pack.
There we go. Bitch, you heard it here. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was. But anyways, we're about to go ahead and go into the interview with Trey and John, the Washington Bullets. We'll be back in just a minute. Hey guys, we're back with the Kick Out at 2 podcast here with the tag team of the Washington Bullets. How you guys doing?
Good, man. How's it going?
Good. We had to do the pleasantries again for the listeners. We had some audio trouble here for anybody listening, but we're back now, so we'll run back through the preliminary questions and bother you with the same old, and then we'll get to the interesting stuff.
So before we were having the audio difficulties, you guys had said that you had kind of started training in 2007 in Atlanta, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Platinum Championship Wrestling guy named Steve Platinum was our trainer. We did like an improv show where we were Kid and Play.
That's awesome.
We came back as Zombie Kid and Play at the end of the improv show. And we got to do one spot at the beginning of Battle Royal, which is pretty cool, I guess, at the time. And like 2 years later, he started up doing shows in Atlanta at 2009 pretty regularly. So that first year, we kind of got a lot of matches. It was like 105 or something like that. Something crazy like that. He was doing every week. Fridays, and then he added Tuesdays, and then we did a once-a-month show that was added on, and then after a while we started getting other bookings and stuff like that towards the end of the year or whatever. So
so you guys got
a lot there early, once we got rolling in the ring type deal.
Yeah. So you guys kind of got a lot of experience right off the bat, like a lot of ring time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's helped a lot. I mean, because there are a lot of guys who just start and don't really get to do live stuff, and we're doing it every single week, so that helped tenfold.
Now, were you guys in the ring together as a tag team the whole time, or were you kind of running singles matches and stuff too?
No, everything you said. Yeah, we started out as a tag team and sort of just kept it. We have kept it going and are keeping it going.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Training, we did tag team moves together, everything. Yeah.
Was that what you guys dreamed of doing when you got into wrestling? Were you big tag team wrestling fans of brother groups and stuff like that anyway, since you're siblings? Or did that not really?
Yeah, I mean, I for sure. I know that I liked it, and I thought that, for me, it seems like there's so much more you can do. You can be so much more, creative and stuff.
Right.
Than just, singles. And a lot of matches I loved and stuff were tag team matches for sure.
Who?
Yeah, I like tag team, but not that much. I don't know. When I started doing it, I was just playing around. I wasn't thinking we was gonna do something for real. I thought maybe we'd do them 2 little spots in the improv show, and then that would be it after a while, for real. And then I don't know,
just kind of stuff.
We did back in the day. I always like older tag teams, the Rockers and our Foundation, Harlem Heat.
I really feel like Harlem Heat is one of those tag teams that gets overlooked nowadays, which is awful because Harlem Heat was amazing and really way ahead of their time.
Yeah, well, it's
really good.
It's kind of a problem.
We got to kind of meet them a week ago. We did WrestleCade in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and Stevie Ray and Booker T were both there, which was
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know Stevie Ray was still showing up to stuff.
I know Booker T's doing Reality of Wrestling in Texas.
ROW. Yeah, Stevie Ray is kind of he's a big part of that from what I've heard in recent, and you know what I mean? And
That's awesome.
Those guys, like, even having the experience, like back in the day when they were that, you could tell there was something different than other things that you were seeing around.
Yeah, it's kind of that problem nowadays with, WWE kind of sweeping like the WCW stuff under the rug. You don't hear enough about Harlem Heat when they were really like that. I remember before I even knew much about wrestling when I was younger, because I wasn't allowed to watch, I knew who they were. I knew Booker T and Stevie Ray, and I didn't know the Hart Foundation. Yeah. So that says something about them and their cultural impact. So,
well, not even that. I knew them, and I hated WCW. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah,
seriously, I did not. I kind of watched the NWO thing, and when Hogan went over there and did that, it was cool, whatever. But I was a WWF guy. Bret Hart's my man. I love Bret Hart. I don't care. I like Shawn Michaels in there.
Shawn Michaels is on my list too.
I could not like the Harlem Heat. That's a reflection of what I am.
Yeah.
And then I got a brother who's a little bit bigger than me, and you know what I'm saying? And we tag. How could I not? How could I not even watch that? How could I not take things from that, especially the good?
Yeah. Right. It's funny because when I started watching wrestling, I went back and watched all the WCW stuff, and I mean, well, I've grown up in the South, and WCW was like the Southern Wrestling Company. I can't stand most of it. I like, especially the story stuff. I can't take it. Like all the cruiserweight and the international talent and stuff like that. I love watching those matches, but watching old Nitros kind of hurts my stomach. It's just the way it looks and everything. So I understand not being a fan of it.
Yeah. It's weird. They have a lot of different weird things. Where there's a lot of Hulk Hogan talking for 20 minutes at the end of the show, and stuff like that. That was so unneeded, and them saying the same things over and over again. And
it was
those old Nitro. Some of them are just especially 1994 or 95 when it was when Hogan was a baby and Sting, and they were just they would just be arguing.
Yeah.
Doing promos. Nobody remembers that stuff. And it's just
it would just drag and drag.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So, were you guys, growing up, kind of a house divided, or were you both WWF kids?
WWF, for sure.
Yeah, the whole, everything. We used to go to shows at the Richmond Coliseum with our parents.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. The way, little kids.
When did you... in your house shows and stuff like that? Was it then? Was it still?
Yeah.
When did you guys...
I got Bret Hart's glasses actually once, and John broke them like a sucker.
Yeah, I ripped them.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you got them. That sucks that they got destroyed, though.
Yeah.
I know, man. That's an angle in and of itself.
Yeah.
For kids.
You should turn that into something whenever you guys want to make some money later on down the road. Fight over the Bret Hart glasses that he broke.
Yeah.
So, when did you guys kind of get exposed to independent wrestling? Was that kind of a thing that you guys would go and see on the weekends with your parents, or was it?
I think Trey kind of stopped watching wrestling when he became a teenager.
Okay.
And I did not. I was I'm the wrestling nerd of the both of us, and I was into ECW back when I was 10 or 11. And then I got into Ring of Honor at late 2002.
Okay.
And then I was basically watching the Impact. They used to have weekly pay-per-views for $10, and I really only watched it because it was you could watch the ROH guys without having to wait 4 weeks for a VHS tape to come in the mail. You could just turn on the TV and it's $10.
Yeah, I got to watch one of those, and I thought, even I was in middle school, and I thought it was a crazy business idea that they did that, but still I was so intrigued by it, and I can't remember.
You guys didn't go to them. Weren't they in Nashville?
Yeah, they were. I used to go to them every Wednesday night. It was incredible.
I can't remember anything on the card except for the wrestler Puppet.
Oh, the midget?
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
he scared me.
Jeez. Of all the things,
that's I can't remember. I remember Shark Boy being there, and I remember Puppet being on the card and beating people with kendo stick. And I couldn't tell you what the other matches were on the one that I got to order, because I didn't get to order a lot of them. But
Yeah, my first exposure to that stuff was there was a group called WWA, which was like the precursor to TNA. They taped out of Australia or something.
Yeah,
and like
I remember
the first
that.
match they had on the card was like a 6-way with like Low-Key, AJ Styles, Christopher Daniel, Shark Boy, Nova, and somebody else. I can't remember. But I remember like I'd never seen any of those guys before, and I was like, this is like completely foreign wrestling to me. I've never seen anything close to that, and that's what sort of turned me on to that stuff.
You know what? I actually remember. I think I got to watch one of those too. Because I vaguely remember that. I remember the lighting was kind of weird. Like it was almost like bluish. And I think, was Mr. Perfect involved? That Kurt Hennig?
Yeah,
there were a lot of bigger
I think
names.
a bunch of guys. Like it's sort of like it's sort of basically like what TNA ended up becoming.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Perfect was in it. The main event I think was it was Jeff Jarrett and somebody. And I remember there was like a really underwhelming match with Eddie Guerrero and Super Crazy and somebody else. I think it was like a triple threat match.
Yeah.
And it's just it was okay, but it wasn't like knock your socks off kind of thing. It looked like they were just like kind of there for a paycheck.
You just brought something back to my mind that I forgot, and I usually like remember stuff really well, like older things. So that's awesome. I'm glad we talked to you just for that, because I'm like picturing all of this now. That's awesome. So
oh yeah.
So you were more into that stuff when was it? I mean, you guys got in the ring in 2007. Was there like talks about wrestling before then, or was it just kind of like you never thought you'd do it and then you found a place where you could and just kind of screwed around and went for it? Or was
I mean, that's really what I mean, because we're at the Relapse Theater, and I was doing like stand up over there, and I saw a wrestling ring,
Mm-hmm.
so I would normally just like play around in there, but nobody, you know, it was like all like drunk comedian stuff, so nobody was like in shape or could wrestle.
Yeah.
And when Trey was coming to Atlanta, I was like, man, we need to at least just like get in this ring and like just have a match. We're just gonna play around and stuff. We didn't really train or even think that we were gonna train. And then when Steve, our trainer, saw us playing in his ring, he basically had us do a routine practice with his guys, and they beat the crap out of us.
Yeah, dude, you can say what you want. You can cuss. We don't care.
And then from then on, we just kept training.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you do stand-up or did stand-up? Do you still kind of dabble in that?
Yeah, I did it, and then like the more wrestling was getting serious, the more time I stopped doing it, because the bigger stand-up gigs were like on the weekends and stuff. Like you do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah,
and I could, you know, with doing wrestling stuff like that, it's hard to sort of schedule both and do both. And I love wrestling. I like stand up, but I love wrestling. I always love wrestling.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, well, this is what I really want to do anyway.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Yeah, it's kind of cool how it's like music and stand-up comedy and wrestling, they all kind of like hang around the same circles almost, because it's basically the same lifestyle if you're in it. It's like working the weekends and traveling. It's just wrestling's way worse on your body. But so
for sure.
Yeah, I always see that, and it's always cool to me how they're all kind of interconnected. So you liked the rockers and stuff growing up. Are there? Let me see. Were you like into the whole Hardy Boys and Dudley Boys and Edge and Christian stuff back then, or was it like had you moved on from the WWF WWE
at
stuff?
That was when I was kind of I was out of like you know, I played football and track and basketball and stuff like that. Like, I wasn't really into wrestling, but John used to watch it around the house. Like I watch pay-per-views, WrestleMania. I might catch a Raw with you here or there, but like I liked the Hardys a lot.
Yeah,
like I really liked the Hardys. And the tables led the TLC, like the first two were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But like that just wasn't something I was. My wrestling was like the rock, like the end of the '80s to the early '90s, and right before. Well, everybody did Suck It. That was when everybody.
Everybody still does Suck It.
Yeah, everybody still does Suck It.
I like that stuff, but I don't know. I just did too much dabble in wrestling at that time.
Yeah, well, I was kind of the
for
same
me,
way.
the ladder match, the first one at like No Mercy, that 99.
Yeah,
that was like amazing. I can still watch that match to this day.
Oh yeah.
Just it's because I mean, there's nobody even close to doing anything like that in WWE, and that was before all the U.S. indie stuff.
yeah.
So it was like, I think it was like crazy light years ahead of everything. But it was. I mean, I can still watch it. I mean, it's pretty nuts when it happened.
It holds up well.
And it was such a nothing show too. I remember before, I didn't even get the pay-per-view because it looked like there was like a filler Triple H and Steve Austin match, and Jeff Jarrett wrestled China, and like a match where they were hitting each other with like pots and pans and stuff.
Oh, the Good Housekeeping
and then,
match?
After that match happened, it was like, holy crap, you have to buy pay-per-view for this one match.
Yeah, I was about to say, I couldn't even tell you the main event from that pay-per-view.
Should have been that ladder match.
Yeah.
Triple H and Stone Cold, and then like The Rock came out for no reason, and then distracted him, and Stone Cold lost. It's just like a weird nothing pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I remember at the time, I was like, Survivor Series is what I want to get. But Survivor Series and that show was really underwhelming, which is really weird.
For a while, those pay-per-views really hit a lull. Like, there was just a point in the 2000s where it almost seemed like the Raws or the SmackDowns or the televised shows were way better than the pay-per-views. It was crazy.
Yeah, the late 99 was not very strong until like that tail end when they had like the 2000 Royal Rumble and whatever. I think the pay-per-view before that was okay. And then they went into WrestleMania 2000, which that ladder match was the highlight of that.
All right, so I do have a question for you. I heard you mention No Mercy. Did you guys ever get into like the wrestling games at all, like the video games?
Yeah, we fuck with it. Yeah, I did.
That game was awesome.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 2000, all of them.
All right, so what's your all-time favorite, if you had to pick one?
No Mercy, hands down.
Okay.
There's like to me, there's nothing even close.
No, that's how I feel about it. I used to record. I used to turn my VCR on and record the matches when you could make a pay-per-view on that, and then go back and do commentary on them because that's how much of a nerd I was at the time.
Yeah, those games are untouchable, and really, I think they still hold.
They do hold up. Yeah. I remember I got so excited because on No Mercy you could take Kane's mask off, and that was before he unmasked.
Oh,
and it was like burn face,
the shadow face.
Yeah, it was just a shadow face. But I got so excited about that because I was like 12 or 13.
Did you guys ever? Did you guys have a lot of the action figures, or was that something you didn't really fuck with?
I had a lot of wrestling figures and stuff. I used to bring them with me like everywhere I went.
Right.
I had when I was little, probably like 9 to 10. But John used to have like. That's why he should still. I think Dad has a bag at his house. Wrestling figures.
At my mom's house, there's a giant trash bag full of all those ones from the early '90s and stuff. The ones where it's just like hard plastic.
Yeah,
you
like
can maybe move an arm or like the torso would twist or something like that.
Or you put the torso down and it doesn't jump. Like you look at the display.
The Hasbro ones.
Yeah, those are the collector ones.
Yeah, you probably have a lot of money right there.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to help you sort through those and decide how much money you had, because I know just obscene amount about those.
So how big of an age difference is there between you two?
Just 2 years.
Just 2 years? Okay.
2 years, 10 days.
Chris brought up something before, like right when I got here, before we even started recording. We were doing some research, and I had sent him a link to a match of you guys versus the Hooligans at I think it was America's Most Like Wrestling,
or AWL.
AML.
Yeah.
He wanted to ask a question about, was it the arm drag?
Yeah. I can't remember now which one of you did. There was an arm drag over the top rope spot in that match. You may not even remember it. I've never seen that before. I literally wrote it down in my phone as I'm watching them. I stopped the match, like paused it, and went to my notes.
That's a good idea. I don't even know that.
It was.
I never seen that spot before.
Maybe. I don't know. Or did we? No. Trey, you're talking about the when you run across the apron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Grab his arm, swing over the top,
and then
pull him in.
Drag him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen that before.
You guys have like
that's actually pretty cool.
a crazy arsenal of just awesome tag team moves that, you know, like tag team wrestling's pretty booming right now, but I feel like tag team moves aren't being as utilized as they could be. And that's one thing I really like about watching you guys is like you use each other to the advantage, and it's great.
Yeah, man. That's what it, I mean, it's so great because you can be so much, when you have two people doing the thing instead of one guy, you can be so much more creative. You can combine moves. You can stack a bunch of moves on top of each other. Like, there's so much more you can sort of work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not even that, just story-wise in a match. If you have two people, there's so many, you can have more moving parts at that point.
Yeah.
Then adds a different layer, which give you a drama perspective of it. Oh, no, he had his boy down, but here his partner comes with the type deal. Like, those things, like, it's kind of intense. You can do anything you want with a tag match. You can really put it together and kind of structure it right.
Well, it's a lot easier for a heel team to get heat in tag team wrestling than it is in a one-on-one match because, you know, you can only keep one guy down for so long. But when there's an opportunity for a hot tag and the tease at it, I mean, a perfectly executed hot tag is one of the best things in all of professional wrestling, as far as I'm concerned. Because you don't want to see two guys only wrestle and watch the good guy get his ass whooped for 30 minutes and then he finally pulls back. But in a tag team match, you can watch one guy get his ass whooped and it just builds the anticipation before he gets that tag and it all breaks down and it's just a lot more interesting. And you guys had really good chemistry with the hooligans in that match. I was really impressed with that.
They were good. They were really, really good. And I was glad that you guys actually said that like tag team wrestling was kind of doing well and booming, because a lot of people, for whatever reason, like, oh, tag team wrestling's been dead and blah, 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 blah.
No.
There's like a million good tag teams. Like,
it's
only
on the rise.
Wrestling in like ROH in the bigger leagues, but even just on the indies and Southeast and stuff like that.
Yeah,
man, I went to Ring of Honor when they did the tapings here in Nashville not too long ago, and I felt like there was a decent amount of tag team wrestling on that. And then I believe that Sunday was Survivor Series, and I felt like there was a decent amount of tag team wrestling on that pay-per-view. And then that following Monday, Raw was in Nashville, and I felt like that whole show almost, aside from like a few Divas matches, was a good portion of tag team wrestling. Like, tag team wrestling is just it's alive and well right now, and I feel like maybe after the Hardys and the Dudleys and Edge and Christian, there was a lull for a while. I mean, there were some tag teams that were in there afterwards, but right now is like a really good time.
Manufactured teams that Big Show and whoever
Jericho,
or just big wrestler guy with smaller, medium-sized wrestler guy.
Yeah,
like there's a million of those tag team champions that like that's what makes tag team wrestling not matter. Because at that point, then you're not using your partner. It's two singles wrestlers trying to win a match together. And he going to get in and do his move, and he going to get out, and he going to get back in and do his move. And another one, and vice versa the whole time.
Yeah,
it's cool and all, but if you're a team and you're a tech like the Rockers, like, no matter what, they didn't do a whole bunch of crazy shit. But everything they did together, it was a double drop kick, it was a double leapfrog, it was over the top. Like, everything was together. Everything was in unison. No matter what, when they tagged, they touched each other until it was time for the heat, and then you had to hope for that one.
You just really got a sense of unity out of watching them as a tag team, because like you said, they just did things together.
Yeah, you put two people with chemistry together. And let them build up an actual repertoire and, you know, get a sense of each other instead of just throwing two popular guys together like they did with Edge and Randy Orton in WWE for a little while. It doesn't work, and that's why tag team wrestling is on an upsurge right now, because you've got people like Young Bucks, you've got people like Red Dragon, and hell, even guys like you that are working on the independents like this. Like, when I watched you guys, I was just like, the sky's the limit for these guys. You really, at this point, with tag team wrestling going the way it is, I mean, you basically, if you get out there and the right people see you, the sky's the limit for you guys. I mean, I could see you working Chikara, the King of Trios, with somebody. I could see you anywhere. I could see you working Ring of Honor. Just, I mean, there's no reason that promotions should be shying away from tag team wrestling.
Not at all.
And if they're going for it, teams like you and the Hooligans and Team IOU need to get looked at because you all are excellent in-ring workers and you understand the art of being tag teams.
Have you guys wrestled the Viking War Party yet?
No, I haven't. But I want to.
Yeah,
I heard a lot about them, and we did ECW in East of Indiana, and they're there a lot, but they weren't there at the time we were there. So I would like to, because it's like at FIP, and I think they're doing Evolve now, maybe something like that. But I've seen them around a lot.
Yeah,
heard a lot about it too. So that would be cool.
As a wrestling fan, that's I mean, I don't know if you guys would end up doing like a 6-man and who you would get for your third person, but just as a fan, watching you guys wrestle any two of those guys, I think would be entertaining. Because me personally, and I'm not just like blowing smoke up your ass, but I don't think there's a way for you guys to have a bad match from what I've seen.
Yeah, we're kind of marking out for you guys a little bit. We feel a little goofy about it, but I mean, I was just very impressed. I just love tag team wrestling, and I'm glad to see such good tag teams, and I'm still just impressed by that spot, that arm drag spot. So, because I've never thought about that, and I've never seen anybody else do it. You guys need to patent that.
That and all the wheelbarrow spots, those are awesome too.
Yeah.
I need to start talking about it. Somebody gonna see it on NXT, and then it won't be mine no more.
Yeah. I actually wanted to go back for a second. I meant to ask you this earlier about that No Mercy match. Do you go back and watch stuff like that now and just it like hurts you? Because I remember when I was young and watching that kind of stuff, I felt like everyone was invincible, and now that I'm almost 30 years old and I watch matches like that, it makes me cringe, like thinking of what they actually go through. Is there a difference in your mind now that you're actually doing it and seeing stuff like that, going back and watching it? Or
there's some stuff where I do that. I mean, there's like like recent stuff. Like we're watching the CZW fire match with AR Fox and Speedball, and they were doing stuff that was like so crazy, and like, and when you're watching, going like, geez, guys, like that's. I mean, watching old wrestling and stuff, you can't. I personally keep myself out of my head unless it's like something that's like ridiculous. Like what's that? Sanante used to take headshots from a chair. It's not putting his hands up, and like hard ones. Like ECW, if you watch those guys swing those chairs, they swing them really hard.
They're swinging for the
swing
fences.
their hands.
yeah, it's weird that no one thought about that, like that was bad, but you don't, and like those are what get me the worst. Like watching old ECW stuff, and that match where Mick Foley just takes like.
From The Rock?
From The Rock. I don't even remember what the count was.
It was over 20.
Unprotected shots to the head. It's just, it makes me cringe.
You brought up the chair shots to the head, and you don't think about how you don't see those anymore, but I was, I don't know if you guys watch Lucha Underground at all, but I was watching, I think it was...
The Ultima Lucha.
It was
match.
Vampiro and I think Pentagon Jr., and Vampiro just took a hard chair shot straight to the head, no hands or anything. And, back when you're growing up and you're watching it, you kind of get desensitized. And now that it's not on TV, I saw it and I cringed. And I've put my body through hell. So that was just kind of weird to me that was my first reaction, was just, to cringe and look away.
Have you guys?
I don't know if that's like officially his last match or something, but like that match was pretty brutal.
Yeah,
like that whole thing where all the blood. And I mean, I understand why it makes sense and like why they would do it, because nobody does stuff like that nowadays. Yeah. Even though it's like you watch it like, oh Jesus, he's like, this guy is how old and he's still taking like chair shots to the head, no hands, but.
I listened to a podcast Vampiro did where he like really went in depth on like explaining the background of the whole match, and I think it was on the Steve Austin podcast. If you get the chance, you should. I mean, if you enjoyed that match, I highly recommend going back and listening to it, because he just goes in depth. He's like,
I remember listening to it at the time, but I think that he did the interview before the match, so I didn't before like I actually saw the match.
Yeah.
So like I didn't. It doesn't really. I might have to go back and re-listen to it, because he was kind of talking about it, and I didn't really have the perspective of actually watching the match before I saw.
Yeah.
Before listening to the whole podcast. So yeah, it's crazy.
We haven't asked this anybody yet that we've talked to. Have you had to do anything that, like, wrestling-wise, that you look back on it now and be like, why did I even bother, like, trying something like that?
Or maybe you weren't comfortable doing it?
Yeah, we haven't asked anybody, like, what the most, like...
I did once recently. Somebody did a backpack splash to me, and I regret it. That was bad.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, that does sound awful.
But it's I don't know.
Was it a big
I don't
guy?
necessarily like the bleeding and the tears and the street fights and stuff. There's a way to do that stuff without having to do all of that stuff.
Right.
You see it on TV all the time, but like that's not. I don't necessarily like that. But you know, if it's the right situation for the right type of deal, then maybe. But
I think in the sense of
go for that.
I think in the sense of like street fights and bleeding and hardcore matches, we've reached a time where when it comes to that stuff, really less is more now. And I mean, I think that Vampiro and Pentagon Jr. match really proved that. Because like I said, back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, you were watching guys get cracked in the head with chairs, and like you had Shane McMahon falling off Titantrons, and now it's like...
I mean, even if you look at some of this the Japanese stuff,
yeah.
I love all that stuff. Like, those guys suplexing each other on the head. I remember when Misawa died.
Yeah.
And somebody said, they go like, oh, man, it was so weird. You know, he took just like a normal suplex. I'm like, yeah, this normal suplex he does every match where he gets dumped on his head.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird, and people don't even really think about that. It's a lot of those older Japanese guys that, you know, it's great, and I love watching all that stuff, but, like, some of those suplexes, like, you know, guys are getting just dropped flush on the head.
It's people don't think about the fact that it's a human body.
Yeah.
Like, it's because it's on TV or in a ring, they don't think, like, that's somebody that has to go through that. Like, it's always kind of weird thinking about that.
And people overlook the small stuff like the suplexes, but then, like, I think we've reached a generation where a lot of kids, you know, a lot of wrestling fans don't know about, like, FMW and stuff, where those guys literally was just, like, pretty much just launching two bodies out of a car into a fire for a match. It was insane watching that stuff as a kid. I don't know how I watched it as a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, barbed wire and exploding
speaking
rings.
of moves that I just one popped in my head. The one that I kind of regret is when we had a match with, I can't remember who was on the team. I remember Slim J. He did. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the sunset flip powerbomb up the ropes. One of those things.
Yeah.
Like I took one, and to me, there are certain moves that you can't take without like fucking your head up. Like, the Alabama Slam.
Yep.
Like there's certain ones that like no matter how good the guy is, you're just like coming. So basically, he does a sunset flip, and I'm holding on to the not the turnbuckle, like the metal part. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Between the actual pad and the thing. And the last thing I remember was him going up and doing it, and my hands like being almost pulled from it because I was holding on to because of how forceful it was, and I was out. I was knocked out. I think I had a concussion. God. I was like, I was out, and the actual spot was he does a sunset flip bomb. He goes to me. Trey breaks up the pin, drags me into the corner, and then tags me. That was the spot. If we had not called that spot, that match would have been over because I was knocked out.
Wow.
So basically, I was knocked out. Trey breaks up the pin, drags me, tags me. Trey gets back in. I wake up right when I'm supposed to come into the next spot. Like, I don't know how I did it. It was like a sixth sense or something, but I woke up right as I was supposed to go to the next spot and just went and get it.
Wrestling?
But yeah, I was gone.
Wrestling is like the craziest thing in the world where I feel like if you were anywhere else and you get knocked out, you don't know what to do, but if you're in a ring or around a ring, you know exactly what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I remember watching William Regal get knocked out on pay-per-view. I don't remember who was in the match, but I remember it was a tag match. William Regal got knocked out, and whoever was his tag team partner just like tagged himself in, and then Regal just hops right back in like nothing happened. Knows exactly where he's supposed to be.
Like when Loki knocked that one 6'4" dude out. You guys ever seen that YouTube video?
I've not seen that one.
What was his name?
If you guys have never seen it, there's a guy named Atsu. He's wrestling. He's going against Loki, and right as the bell rings, Loki runs across the ring, does like the front flip like kick thing he does, like Jushin Liger.
Yeah.
knocked the guy out. Guy is out cold. Loki just, the guy's trying to get his bearings and crawl up from the turnbuckle, and Loki just does a cartwheel kick to the head, throws him down, double thumbs to him, pins him.
Man.
And it's like, you can find it on YouTube very easily.
I'm looking that up.
I remember watching Loki at the fairgrounds, and he was like, just his chops, and like he did those I guess like those chops to the traps in the back, and all of his kicks, everything looks so stiff. I miss watching Loki on the reg.
I remember when that's like the stuff like when I first started watching indie wrestling, where it was like so crazy because it's like this guy who wrestles like those Japanese guys, but he's small enough that he can do more agile stuff. And that was like the thing with him. That was like what his thing was, and it was like. It was crazy at the time because you'd never seen anybody like that. It was almost like what I would compare it to is like when Taz first came. To when he was in ECW, when he was rising, you just didn't see that before. Like it was kind of amazing. And
Low-key was also like, I guess when you look at him, you don't really expect it, but he was like surprisingly strong too. So he was. I mean, I guess the perfect example of big things in small packages because he was really a smaller guy, but. All over the place. He could do anything.
I remember seeing a flyer. I might have posted it a couple months ago where Loki, I think it was in New Jersey, was supposed to wrestle Rey Mysterio. And that's one of the, I don't get excited about Rey Mysterio matches in 2015, but when I heard about that, I was like, man, I wish I was going to be there. Because that's...
Oh, yeah. I didn't... Yeah, I know that it did happen, like a week or two ago or something like that. But, yeah, it looked good. I mean... I would love to see it. I guess that was the thing that he pitched when he got hired by WWE.
It might have been. I know. I saw 2 flyers of Rey Mysterio matches where I was like, ooh, and it was that, and then he was supposed to wrestle AJ Styles, which I don't know if
I think that's happened a few times actually.
Really, I see. I hadn't kept up with anything. AJ Styles, I keep up with about the New Japan stuff, and I haven't really.
We were talking about stiff wrestling, and then we got on the brief subject of AJ Styles. Did you guys watch the pay-per-views when TNA moved to Florida?
Yes. Yeah. Really, really good stuff. Like you're talking about, like right when Samoa Joe came.
Yep.
Or right when Joe came, and those matches are really good. And that was like that weird small glimmer where they were letting X Division guys main event and stuff.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, well these guys are going to get lifted up, and then like 4 months later, they're all in 8-man, tag matches and crap like that. But it was really good. It was really really good period. I think AJ is one of the most best at evolving and adapting over the past decade of that class of guys.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I mean, he started out as an X Division guy, and then he became like a main eventer. Then he went to New Japan and basically became a main eventer there. And I think that he's done really good.
I feel like AJ Styles is this generation's Sting, only a better wrestler, where he'll go his whole career pretty much without ever touching WWE, if ever, and he'll be that one guy that was like the success story without ever having their hands on him.
And then he'll job to Triple H at WrestleMania 40.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Sting said he did that because he thought it was going to be his last match, but instead they had him come back and have his actual last match where Seth Rollins murdered him. But
yeah.
I did have a question for you guys. We talked about. I asked you guys if you had met up with the Viking War Party yet. Are there any tag teams out there that you actually like? You're just itching to wrestle right now because there's so many out there right now.
Yeah, like dream matches.
Yeah, a million. Young Bucks, Red Dragon.
That would be awesome.
ANX, Briscoes.
Yeah.
Well, on a more attainable note, let's look. We haven't wrestled like
Los Mendejos, Team IOU, the Hooligans.
We worked all of them.
We worked them, but that'd be great,
team?
Team
Tremendous. I like the rest of them.
That'd be great.
There was another one too. Some other younger guys. I forget.
I'm gonna put this out into the universe, and just hope that maybe we can get you guys here. I know Team IOU wrestles here fairly regularly on Fridays. Maybe
at Saw.
SWF in Tullahoma.
Yeah, they're at SWF in Tullahoma. And that crowd, that crowd's great. It would be awesome to have a crazy fatal 4-way tag team match with the Washington Bullets, Team IOU, the death dealers and like the hooligans. I think that would just be money.
Yeah, I'm with it. Too.
Yeah, awesome,
Putting that out into the universe.
Yeah, we're saying it in hopes it'll get booked.
Or at least just like you guys in IOU here in out down south in Tullahoma, because that would just, I think you guys would blow the roof off that place.
Now,
Yeah,
are you guys more of
that'd be awesome.
a Young Bucks or Red Dragon guys?
Young Bucks.
I mean, they're
Young Bucks. Young Bucks.
yeah. I think, but they're both good, though. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, Young Bucks are kind of like on top of the industry right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Young Bucks is the reason I even watch like PWG and ROH stuff. Like,
That's awesome.
I
didn't really like any of that.
yeah, and they're over to that. It's crazy. It's like otherworldly, and it's like when the Ring of Honor show. Like the guys are over. Like all of them are over to a pretty good extent. They all get good reactions, but the Young Bucks are like an attraction,
Right.
like in and of themselves.
Yeah.
And like when I saw on Facebook, and people are like, "Oh, I'm going to ROH to see Young Bucks." It's not even like, I want to see. You know what I'm saying? So they're huge.
Yeah.
I could very easily see you guys like working a PWG show. I feel like you'd fit in very well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You're listening to God's ears, man.
I'm putting it out there again.
Yeah, we like to put positive energy about stuff like that out into the universe, because I've said this before. I used to speak what I wanted on Netflix, and a month later it would end up on there. So I have some sort of weird powers. The Mighty Morphin Power.
That's kind of paltry comparison.
Mighty Morphin Power.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and the Wonder Years are on Netflix because I said it into the universe. So now I'm wishing you guys to PWG so that we could see you on
There
something.
you go.
So good luck. You'll get a call in about 2
they're
months.
niche. I think PWG must stay with there because they make a lot of money on DVD.
Yeah.
There's no point to give it to you for a subscription fee.
Now, one thing I did want to cover just before it gets overlooked. You guys have merch. Where can people find that? Is it online anywhere?
They can always send us a message at WashingtonBullets1.com.
Okay.
They do have to have PayPal and just give us a hit up and we'll get all of that out to you.
Cool.
Always at Bullets_Bullets, Twitter and Instagram. You can find us at Vine too at Bullets_Bullets, and then Washington Bullets 123 on YouTube. Catch up on videos, check us out, stuff like that.
Yeah, I highly recommend everybody just rating that YouTube channel because I'm sure it's nothing but gold, like all the way through.
Oh
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, we're putting you guys over big on this podcast. We probably sound like a couple of giddy little girls, but
Borderline jabronis.
Yeah, borderline jabronis. We just like tag team wrestling. But let me see. There's something else I wanted to ask, and I'm sure I'll forget it, and then it'll come back to me tomorrow, and I'll be mad at myself. But
You could always tweet them at Bullets_Bullets.
Yeah, I'll just tweet it to you guys if I remember it.
Yeah, that's cool.
What's the future looking like? Where are you guys going to be coming up?
We'll be at AML again back in High Point on the 20th. And then I this end of the year, I'm Trey is having another child, so I don't really have a lot.
Okay.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
So I'm
congratulations.
probably well, yeah, she's probably like 3 weeks to a month out. So
Oh wow.
Oof.
I'm staying in town.
That's a Christmas present right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll be good.
It'll be cheaper on you because you just have to buy the one set of presents.
Yeah.
I
That's
did.
my dad said 'cause his birthday's the 26th. So he's like, yeah, we can spend our birthday together.
That's awesome.
Nobody want to get us presents.
I actually did want to ask you guys about AML because when I watched that match with the Hooligans, like, it looks like there's a lot of money put into that. It looks like a great product.
Yeah, the production values were really good on that.
Have you guys ever heard of WrestleCade?
Yeah, I actually kept up with it last
once
weekend.
every year. Those are the people who run WrestleCade. They brought AML out last year and kind of, said that they were going to have a new promotion. And now we're actually on the 20th. We're having that'll be the year anniversary.
Oh,
on
wow.
the
That's awesome.
ML. Yeah, the Wrestle Cave was last week. That was awesome. It was like 3,205 or something like
Jeez.
that. Yeah. Anybody who was basically everybody was there. I saw Ernest the Cat Miller.
Oh,
That's
man.
awesome.
I loved Ernest the Cat Miller. I thought he was so great.
And it's so funny because I grew up with his son in Northern Virginia. Like,
Really?
I played football with him and everything. Yeah. Like, his mom used to braid my hair and all that stuff.
That's
awesome.
And he just so happens to live in Atlanta, probably like 20 miles from the house. Like, I see him all the time.
That's so cool.
I'm
And
putting
that's my first time meeting him.
That's crazy.
putting this out into the universe. FIP 6-man showcase, Washington Bullets and Ernest the Cat Miller
Yeah,
going all the way.
Yeah, okay. I'm down.
Yeah, he main
Yeah,
evented in The
he could
Wrestler.
do it. That'd be cool.
He's immortalized
But, yeah.
in the movie The Wrestler. He killed Mickey Rourke. I saw that movie. He killed him.
Yeah. You don't notice. It went black.
It faded to black, but he killed him. That's how it ended in my mind.
What'd you guys think of that movie? I spent a little bit of time on the indies, and I feel like it's really true to life.
Yeah, they did. I think what they did was they took a hodgepodge of everything. Like some of the stuff that I guess was kind of realistic is like Ric Flair's not going to go in the indies and wrestle the Necro Butcher. You know what I'm saying? But they were taking all the little pieces of the indie scene and sort of making it into one movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Killings is in
So I thought
every.
it was really good. I thought it was really well done and stuff like that. But it's like one of the only wrestling movies that like a non-wrestling person can watch and not think that you're mentally deficient.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy that you said that too, because I have a couple friends who I guess just recently watched that movie, and that knowing that if you know me, that I'm a huge wrestling fan. They would just ask me if I'd seen it, and I kind of expected them just to kind of just turn their nose up at it, but it's been the same response every time. Just it was a really great movie, and they'll ask me questions because they know that I wrestled a little bit. And I just tell them, like, it's pretty true to life. The guys in the locker rooms with like some of the not so awesome
all
stuff.
wrestlers work at a deli.
Sometimes you just go crazy and chop your thumb off.
Yeah, doesn't it suck that people don't understand enjoying professional wrestling, or they don't get it? Like, they can understand literally everything else under the sun, but if you tell them you're a fan of wrestling, or you wrestle, or you're into wrestling at all, they're like, "What's wrong with you? Like, it's not real." Like, I wonder why that's such there's such
Why
a
they say that
stigma.
retarded mess? I don't know. That would be like saying, "Oh man, I love that Batman movie." Well, that's not a documentary. That's actually
like Batman's
filmed on a studio lot somewhere. There's not a guy walking around in a bat suit. It's crazy.
I posted about wrestling one time, and this guy who I wasn't a real big fan of anyways, and if he's listening, which he isn't, he can suck my asshole. He told me, he's like, "You should just watch UFC instead. It's real." I was like, "Bitch, why can't I watch both? Like, what's wrong with somebody enjoying wrestling and
it's apples and oranges too? Because like, you're not gonna be able to see anybody do a 630. Like, as cool as Conor McGregor is, he's not gonna be able to do a Hurricane or anything. Like, it's not,
Yeah.
It's just a totally different, and it's a thing that you get totally different out of UFC than you get from wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, when you're watching wrestling, you're watching the entire thing of the performance of the match and the moves and different combinations of moves. You're watching UFC, you're trying to see somebody beat somebody up.
Right.
Well, they don't slap their leg on UFC. Fuck UFC.
Yeah.
There's no goddamn super kicks in UFC.
You're not stomping with those punches.
First match, he does that. Like in his first UFC thing. He slaps his leg when he kicks somebody.
I feel like that would just be instinct. I feel like that's what's taking him so long in the training, is that he keeps slapping his leg when he throws
He's gotta
that.
be desensitized.
Yeah.
Yeah, he keeps selling too much.
After I was trained, I had a really big fear of getting in my first fight, because I was really afraid I was going to slap my leg or stomp the ground when I went to punch somebody, and then just get rocked and realize what was going on.
As you punch him.
I watched a TV show one time where this guy got into a fight with a stunt fighter, and the guy did all these moves on him and missed him because he was throwing the punches, and then he had to like recalibrate himself. I thought that was a really good joke. That's how I feel like wrestlers would be getting into shit afterwards. But yeah, we've been running a little long. I know I'm actually surprised we got to talk to you guys this long. It's been
great.
really awesome, and if you ever want to come back,
no worries, man.
feel free. So, yeah, we'll find you online at bullets_bullets.
You said that was Twitter
and Instagram, correct?
and Vine?
Yeah,
And
and Vine, yeah.
And then I know you guys are on...
Washington Bullets 123 on YouTube, and then Washington Bullets 1 at hotmail.com for booking inquiries, or if you're looking for a T-shirt, a button, something like that.
And then you guys have Facebook also, right? I looked it up. There were like two accounts. I didn't know if they were...
Well, see, one was a fan page originally.
Oh, wow.
And then the other one was a Facebook page that they made me turn into a fan page for some reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just figured you guys
so
got
that's
so
why
popular you needed two of them.
No, not at all.
Soon.
Totally.
Soon, yeah. That's what you're a wrestler, brother. Just sell it. Just hype yourself up. You're supposed to be egotistical. But yeah, we've had a lot of fun talking to you guys.
Hope to catch you guys in the Middle Tennessee area.
Yeah, and hell, we should travel out to Atlanta.
That
It's
or
not far.
the AML, like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that show looks awesome. Definitely, if you...
It's a really good show. It's a really well put together show.
Yeah.
No, it's an awesome show, like, seriously.
Yeah, so anybody who's listening, please go check them out. Check them out on YouTube. I feel like really great things are coming for these guys, and you're already doing well. So, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll catch you guys again.